So we have Are Serial Killers Born or Made? So we have some background. Serial killers have been around for centuries, from Jack the Ripper to John Wayne Gacy. There's always been like a fascination with serial killers. As time went on, researchers began to dig deeper into the mind of killers. Researchers found that many of the serial killers have like similar upbringings and have experienced like trauma. They found that many of the killers had very traumatic childhoods. So they experienced traumatic childhoods from like beatings, being locked in rooms for hours in a day. They were verbally abused. They experienced some sort of abuse as kids. With the abuse, the killers had trouble like socializing, and they started experiencing psychological problems. Those psychological problems would come from like bedwetting to like speech problems, and they were very antisocial. When they started to grow up, the trauma from the childhood still affected them, as they could not sustain a relationship, couldn't have a relationship, and were very awkward at many times. So these are some of the serial killers. We have John Wayne Gacy and Jeffrey Dahmer. So some researchers tested the brains of some inmates that committed homicides. So they found that the inmates showed to have reduced gray matter. So what gray matter is it's the part in the brain that helps you process information, helps you like make decisions, and it helps you show empathy towards others. So the inmates show that they have less gray matter. So that means their decision making wasn't always the best, and they most of the time did not show empathy towards others. So that's why when they killed a first time, they killed again, because they didn't have any empathy towards their victims. They didn't see it as a problem. Although the brain scans don't necessarily explain that serial killers are killing because they have less gray matter, it does go into consideration that their decision making is not the best because of the gray matter. So another thing we had was outside factors. This is one of the big ones that I tried to argue the most, in that today's world, the fascination is at its highest. Like there's documentaries, movies, books, they're all over the media. Like kids are exposed to the nature of the serial killers. Violent video games, movies are being normalized for young kids. Like games like Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, it's teaching kids that, like it's okay to kill. Or maybe it's not teaching them that it's okay, but I mean, they're seeing it all the time, so they could be influenced. Like guns and knives being shown on these things, it shows that like, it's okay to have them. Kids can be really easily influenced, So an example that I brought up was Pazuzu. Pazuzu was an example because he was influenced by the movie The Exorcist, which has nothing really to do with obviously serial killers, but he began to worship Satan, and he believed that the killings that he was doing, the sacrifices, were okay because it made Satan happy. So that's where I'm talking about, like, kids being easily influenced and can lead to making decisions that are not okay. So, like, this is Pazuzu. He was described as a young, normal kid. Pretty much was normal up till watching The Exorcist, and then became a killer.